Hi, this is Juliana Kenny at IT Expo West 2011 in Austin, Texas. I'm joined by Rob Bissett of 6Fusion. Thanks for joining me today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
So you work in the cloud space and
Absolutely.
just want to get sort of a gauge on, what sort of industry trends are happening and, where you see the market moving forward to.
Perfect. Well, I mean, 6Fusion's in the infrastructure as a service enablement space. So we help companies build their own private clouds as well as adopt public cloud services. And in fact, our technology allows them to move pretty seamlessly between the both. So we're seeing a lot of companies that have answered the question of should we be using the cloud? And now they're trying to determine, is public cloud the way to go? Is private cloud the way to go? And they're starting to work through that sort of vendor choice question. And it's really interesting to see how the industry is evolving from that regard.
How are they making decisions in terms of, which direction to go into?
Well, I think it can be very driven by the type of company. Obviously, with the small, medium business, you see a lot of adoption of public cloud services. But the private cloud is of interest to the enterprise, particularly those we're seeing a lot of adoption in higher education, financial services, government sectors, where they have particular concerns about security or data privacy, or the IT groups themselves want to exert a lot of control over the infrastructure. So we've really sort of tried to design the solution to allow them to build their own private clouds, but access the public clouds as necessary.
Okay. Well, the SMB is still concerned with security as well. So how
Correct.
did they sort of manage that in terms of kind of only having, certain options when it comes to cost?
So the SMB is concerned about security, but I think that they have fewer hard objections to it. So you'll see larger industry has regulatory compliance concerns. They have very large risk management groups, a lot more lawyers, if you will, whereas small business is working with service providers to manage that security. So they have the same concerns, but I think there's a lot less sort of corporate paralysis around the decision making. So they're more willing to adopt those cloud services, public cloud services. They're not necessarily any less secure.
Right.
The public cloud is not necessarily less secure than the private cloud, but many people feel that way, and in the small business, making the decision is easier, I think, is what's been driving that.
Now, why do you think people think of the public cloud as less secure? Because that's, I've been hearing people talk about that today, and it's sort of, a big question that people don't really know how to answer correctly, and I don't know, do you have an opinion on that?
I do have a strong opinion, and I don't see the public cloud as insecure. The public cloud providers, and 6Fusion is one of them, put a lot of time and energy into building secure facilities, into building secure IT infrastructures, have large IT security departments to manage that, take a very active role in security. That being said, when you use a public cloud, you also have to make sure that your use of the cloud itself is secure, sort of that systems administration 101 kind of basis. And I think that if that's done properly, it can make for a very secure environment. I think a lot of the concern and risk comes from, number one, the fact that it's a new industry, right? So cloud-based infrastructure as a service, is still relatively new, and anything that's new has a natural reluctance. The second part of that, I think, is FUD, right? Fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and that is that there's a lot of vendors that have a vested interest in selling on-premise servers who naturally are going to be looking for hot-button pain points to keep people from doing that. So I think you've got an entrenched industry that's focused on selling on-premise infrastructure and on-premise hardware, and they're naturally going to be looking for leverage points to keep people away from not doing that, and I think that may play a role on that as well. And then the third part, I think, mistakes have been made in the past where people went to the public cloud and didn't necessarily exercise all of the best due diligence from an administration perspective, and that probably plays a little bit of a role in that as well.
Indeed, probably does. Well, thank you for joining me today. It was wonderful speaking with you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Once again, this is Rob Bissett from 6Fusion.